Okay, this is Lucas again. We've got another eBay special here that we'll be working on. This is another Xbox One controller. This one is said to have some stick drift and the joysticks for it. So let's open it up, take a look at it, and see if we can get it working again. Okay, and I just got the package upside down. That way I don't have to use any special tape on it. Open that package up, actually using a knife this time. Oh, that's a good sign so far. Comes in a nice box. This means it was actually probably well taken care of if the person saved the box. Not always an assessment, but sometimes it is. So as we open it up, we see that right there. So this is the special, I believe, matte gray one. I really liked the look of this controller, so figured it was worth taking a shot on. By the way, I did only get this for $12, so you can't really beat that price. First thing we're going to do, as always, we're just going to wipe it down and clean it. Never be too safe nowadays. Even if you're just doing the bare minimum, just cleaning it a bit, I would recommend it because, well, why not? Rubbing alcohol is not really going to hurt it any, and neither are these Clorox wipes. We got it wiped down pretty decently now. I'm just going to get the thumbsticks a little extra because they always seem to be the nastiest. But once we got it all cleaned off, first thing I like to do is just inspect it, make sure there's no heavy dents or anything on there, like it got thrown against something. From what I'm seeing, there is not a single scuff or scratch on this controller, so that's a good sign. The one negative about this controller when I was buying it is back here. They did show this in the listing, which is something I'll usually avoid. It looks like somebody has already gotten into this controller for some reason or another, probably trying to fix the drift issue, so who knows what we're going to find once we get in here. But let's put it on the Xbox One and test it and just see what it does first off. Okay, so we got the controller hooked up now. Sorry if it's a little difficult to see. I did put it on my projector. But we're just going to run through the buttons, make sure everything works. Everything appears to be working as it should so far. The one issue is the joystick. So just like they said in the eBay listing, if you flick it up, it stays on, so it does have joystick drift. And it will stay down sometimes as well. So this is going to be the issue we're going to look into fixing today. Okay, so now we got the controller back on the table to work on it. It's still plugged in, so all we got to do is remove the rechargeable battery pack on it, so it will just shut off. That didn't come with it, I just added that for testing. Then we're going to start taking the controller apart. So once you get the battery pack off, you can start working on these little wings. They will just pop right off. Especially if somebody beat you in there, which as we can see on this one, somebody definitely did. Then we're just going to grab our T8 screwdriver. We're going to start taking those out. There's going to be a total of 5 screws you need to remove. One up there, one down at the bottom, one in the middle, and then a repetition on the other side. One good thing about having a controller somebody's already worked on is everything comes apart pretty easily. The one negative is you don't know how bad they've destroyed it inside, or if they stripped any of the screws, or any other fun thing. this screw a little worse for wear. I will probably be replacing that one with a screw out of a different controller so I don't have to mess with it next time. By the way, sorry if you hear any background noise, that is just my washer and dryer going. So, once you remove those 5 screws, you can flip it over. The faceplate will just lift right off of it at this point. The next thing you're going to want to do is, I always remove the thumbsticks just because otherwise they get in the way. And then just give it another little wipe down. So you can see it's kind of smudgy on the inside, so I don't really feel like touching that. Hopefully that means the last time somebody went in there was just to clean up something they spilled or something like that, and it wasn't for the drift issue. Hopefully that just means they sold it on and nobody's messed with that just yet. Okay, once you get that a little clean, we're going to now lift it out of its backing plate. So just pull back here and then separate it. And then this is our stick that we want to change out the sensor in it. The best way to do this is to actually take the board off the back. You can technically swap it right now, but it's kind of just way more difficult than it's worth. So what I would do is take this board off right here, which this is actually the solder points for that thumbstick, so you can actually see the other side. I apologize for this one. There are different size screws in here. They're Torx head again. I'm not entirely sure what size they are. Unfortunately, my bits do not list what size they are. I just got a cheap universal tool set. I would just recommend getting, a 30-bit screwdriver with a few different Torx head sizes. You should be good to go. One of those will work in there. I think I got this. No, I didn't get this specific one, but I did buy another one with the exact same bits for $4 a while back. Next thing you can do is you can just lift out these little rumble packs, and then once you get those 2 removed and the rumble packs up, you can start by lifting this board up. So you're just going to lift it, slide it back, then you should just be able to flip it right on over. There'll be a few things that get in your way, but not too much. I did forget to remove this little antenna, so just click that off with your thumb. So once again, we can see that this one went to here, which is the drifting one. So once we've isolated which joystick it is, in this case it's this one, we want to determine which is the vertical and which is the horizontal set point for this. There will be 2 sensors. One will do horizontal and one will do vertical. So the way you can tell that is there's a little gearing mechanism right in here. So you'll see it move, and that's how you know this one's horizontal. And if I go vertical, nothing happens. And then if you do the other, if you go vertical, you can see it spin. Versus if you go horizontal, nothing happens. So this is our vertical sensor, which is bad, and this is our horizontal sensor, which is good. So the next thing you want to do is you can either get rubbing alcohol on the Q-tip and just try and clean it out in there. Otherwise, you can get a spare joystick. These are really cheap on eBay, just a few bucks, and you can actually take the parts out of that for the sensor, just to make sure you're replacing it with a known good one. So for this, I'm just going to be replacing the sensor, but you might be able to get away with cleaning it, but honestly, you're better off buying a $2 joystick and going with that. But our next step for this is we're going to have to get this peeled back just a little bit. Okay, so to get this to move, you're just going to take something that you can slide in there This is a little big for this application, but it's what I had next to me. So we're going to try it out. You're just going to keep trying to pull it apart. You see it kind of separated a little right in there. So it's working. Just going to slowly want to work it out. Just like that. Once it's popped free, you can take your finger, just bend it down just a little bit, not too much. Then you're just going to take your tweezers and you're going to pull out the sensor. I like to push it from this side first and pop it loose. And then come in from the top and pull it straight out. It's important to remember which way this was set. So the plastic pieces together will go towards the bottom. So we're now going to open up our spare one. We're going to pull that sensor out of there. Let's see if I can just get that apart relatively easily. We'll see. Actually, for this one I can pull from the bottom and just tug it right off. So this one's not soldered to anything, so that helps. So once you have it off, as we can see, this is the sensor we want. I'm just going to leave it in there for right now, because a good practice is to grab some isopropyl alcohol, wet a Q-tip, and just clean where the new sensor will be going. So we're just going to take that isopropyl, we're just going to dab it in here, kind of run it around a bit. As you can see, it was actually pretty dirty in there. That's the dirtiest one I've actually seen of one of these sensors. While you're dabbing, give it a little twisting motion. Just get it all cleaned out as best as you can. And then we're going to want this other sensor. So we're going to pop it out through the middle again, just like we did on that other. Once we have it, we're going to put the two little holes towards the bottom. Okay, so once you got the sensor lined up, you're just going to put it straight in there. Should just set right into place. And from that point, all you gotta do is pull it back and click it together. You just want to make sure that it's still aligned. So we got it lined up right. We're just going to slowly put it back together. Okay, there we go. It's now all back together. You can see if we go up and down, it moves with the controller stick, much like this side does. So we should be good with that the way it is. So from this point, just take your board, flip it back over, making sure to move this antenna wire. Slowly set it down back into its place. Although the other thing you want to remember is the little headphone jack. It's just going to set into its place with the prongs up on top. Bare side goes on bottom, prongs up on top. There we go. This is all looking good. Make sure everything lines back up again. Reconnect your little antenna. Quick note on it, when you're reassembling it, make sure this antenna goes into the little notch right here on the board. So just make sure you wire it right through the notch, and then you can put it back together. Then you want to put your screws back in. So there's just 2 of these. One on each side. There we go, back together. We're just going to take our wires, just kind of fold them in a little bit so they're not going to get snagged on anything. And then I just like to partially reassemble and test the controller. So we're going to take the backing plate, we're just going to set it right into there. I would recommend taking your time as you do this. There's really no sense in rushing this. Once you get it partially back together, I just throw the faceplate on it. Don't actually need the joysticks. We'll put them on there just because it makes it easier to show. Set the faceplate down, and we're just going to put 1 screw into it. I'm only going to use the middle screw for right now for testing purposes. Once that's in, we can hook the controller back up to the Xbox and let's test it and see if we fixed the controller drift issue. Okay, now we got the controller back, still only partially put together, but we're on the testing screen for it, so let's test out that joystick and see if we fixed it. Looks like it's fixed to me. No more drift. So for just a few bucks for a new joystick, you can harvest the parts out of it and fix that up. Not much to it, I just have to put it back together and test it one more time just to make sure you don't break anything putting it back together. Okay, so now we got the controller all back together, all buttoned up with all the screws back in there. And now we're going to do one final test on it. And that joystick is completely working. So that is a nice, cheap, easy fix for your Xbox One controller drift issue. Won't always fix the issue, but for the most part, I would say probably 90% of controllers, you can get away with just cleaning it, replacing that sensor, even just cleaning it. I replaced the sensor though because I had one spare, so you might as well. But that ends the video here. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out in the comments, and I hope you have a great day. Thanks for watching my video.